Hey, good morning, everybody. I just thought we'd jump right into it so that the video doesn't go as long. What I want to talk about today is a follow-up to what we were talking about in class today with kind of the introduction to polynomials. And so this is just an example of some addition of a couple of trinomials. So you can see there's three terms here. We're adding them together. And it's pretty straightforward what we're going to try and do. The good news is when you're adding, you actually don't need those parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and erase those. And now it's about just combining the like terms that we see here. So 8a is going to be able to combine with the positive 16a and make 24a. And then the positive 9m and the positive 12m is going to make positive 21m. And then the last part, which I didn't circle or box in, is negative 7t and negative 5t, which makes negative 12t. Pretty straightforward. You just combine the like terms, keep the signs, and then we can try a different looking polynomial problem. Now, this problem, which I've done here, says 5x plus 18y minus z, and that's all in parentheses, minus another polynomial, which this one is 2y plus 15z. Now notice that this time we do need the parentheses because we're subtracting this whole thing. So it's kind of like distributing that negative sign to both parts on the inside. That step right here is one of the biggest mistakes in all of algebra. And I'm not actually joking with that. People forget to subtract both things in here. So be really conscious of that. So now I've got some like terms that we can start putting together. 5x did not have one, so I just wrote 5x down here. Put the y's together, keep the sign, put the z's together, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so that would be your answer to that kind of a subtraction polynomial question. So we did addition, we did subtraction. Here is multiplication. You probably have seen this before, and you might have called it something like FOIL, but the official term is double distribution. Why is it called double distribution? Because you're distributing twice. So if we follow the little arcs that I made, I really highly recommend making arcs. X times x is x squared. And then x times 7, 7x, 4 times x, 4x, 4 times 7, 28. Combine the two like terms in the middle, and that's what we've got left. X squared plus 11x plus 28. There's nothing else there that's like terms, so we're done. Now, division. Division works a little bit differently. There's certain things that you're allowed to divide, and there's a lot of things that you are not allowed to divide. So we cannot divide... you can only really do division when you've got the same number of terms on the bottom. So when you've got a monomial on top and a binomial on the bottom, it doesn't really work. When you've got a binomial on the top and a trinomial on the bottom, again, we could make it work, but you aren't going to see that very often. So don't even worry about having to do those kinds of division. The only time you would really be able to do some division that has a trinomial over a trinomial is only if they're exactly the same trinomials, and you could just cancel them out. So a lot of the stuff with division doesn't really happen a whole lot. So let me just show you when you could do division. All right, it's a pretty small set of examples, okay? So if you have a polynomial on the top and a monomial on the bottom, so just a single monomial on the bottom, then you're going to be able to take that polynomial and you can split the polynomial up into each one of its terms over that original monomial. So it's like having x plus 2 over z, and then you could do x over z plus 2 over z. So it's just sort of like splitting it up with that same monomial in the bottom every time, and each part of the polynomial gets its own fraction. The one other thing that you're allowed to do that I'm going to show you an example of later in this video is if you have a polynomial over a binomial, you actually are able to do long division. So that's something you're going to see later in the video. Like I said, the long division thing's a little weird, so that might be one to focus on when I'm doing some of these practice problems. Now, this is the last part of the video. So far I've explained how to do addition, how to do subtraction, how to do multiplication, and how to do division. Everything on this page is just practice problems, and this part of the video has about 8 minutes to it. So there's about 8 minutes of work here, and that will, without me talking at all, that's pretty much how long I want this video to be. So I'm going to talk really fast. If you want to pause it and see how I did certain things, feel free. Otherwise, you can just kind of watch the steps and see if they make sense. And if something doesn't make sense, make a note of it and bring that to class tomorrow and we can talk about it. Okay? So I'm trying to zoom in so you can see everything nice and easily. So this is a subtraction problem. I've got to make that subtraction go to all of these parts. What's kind of nice is a squared minus a squared cancels. Negative 4ab minus 4ab is negative 8ab. And then b squared minus b squared, they cancel that as well. This one looks a lot longer, but it's actually easier because it's just a plus in between. So I can just start combining the terms that are alike. One thing to be aware of, I do go in order. So I go with the r to the 5th, then the r to the 4th, then the r cubed, then the r squared, then the r, then just the plain constant. That's the order you want to go in for these. Fly. Oh, almost got that fly. It's still here. It's going to drive us nuts. We're going crazy. Okay. Double distribution. You can see the arcs. So now you just do like 3x times 5x, which is 15x squared. Don't forget the squared. A lot of people forget that. Then you do the outside 3x times 2x, which is 3x times 2y, which is 6xy. And then the other two parts from the bottom little arcs, and that's the final answer. Now, number 16, this is one of the most commonly messed up things. If you have a squared right here, you can't just square this and this. Square means times itself. So you notice that what I've done here is I've written the same binomial a second time. So I can't just square 7k and square 2j because that's not how squaring binomials works. You have to set it up like this and do double distribution. Now the other thing I want to point out that I do here is I also get this in the right order. The first term should be the j squared term because of the alphabet. J comes before k. And then the next term, 28jk, and then at the end, so I basically put things in a different order and I've combined some like terms. Here's another double distribution, but this one's a special one. You'll see why here in just a second. 4h times 4h, 16h squared. 4h times positive 3 is positive 12h. Negative 3 times 4h is negative 12h. Positive and negative 12h's cancel. You're just left with 16h squared minus 9. So that was kind of a nice one. I'm going to skip these that talk about functions. It's not because we don't know how to do them. They're just something that I'm not going to go into right now. If that's something you'd like to bring up in class, if we have time, totally bring up the question about functions. So here, this isn't double distribution, it's just single distribution. And if I distribute in, this is what I should get. Hopefully, one more term. Come on, there we go. So I've got to multiply the 4 times the 3, and that's where I got the 12. M cubed and m squared make m to the 5th. That's some exponents rules that we've talked about. And now here, this is double distribution, but it's almost like triple distribution in a way because you're going to 3 terms. So this is where you got to be really careful that you follow your arcs and do every single piece. I'm pretty sure I do every single piece here. I would hope I'm not making any mistakes. But you can follow my steps here. Again, if you don't know where something's coming from, I did go in order with my arcs. That's where I wrote down those 6 terms, and then I just combined the like terms. Okay, so there was some addition there, some subtraction, some multiplication. Here's some division. Now, this is what I talked about a minute ago. Here's a polynomial on top and a monomial on the bottom. So I can just split off the monomials into 3 separate fractions. And now I'm just dividing 8 divided by 2 is 4. K cubed over k is k squared, and so on for the others. Now this is long division. The long division is the only one that I'm actually going to pause for here, and I'm sorry about the resizing, but I'm going to rewrite it in long division. So the numerator goes on the inside. So as I'm writing this, I just want to remind you, this is going to be exactly like what you do for long division, the old school way. But a lot of people might have forgotten what that is. So if you think back to just numbers in long division, we always want to take the outside and make it go into the inside. So we always want to focus on the first term on the outside turning into the first term on the inside. So how do I make 3m? What would I have to multiply 3m by to make it equal 3m cubed? Well, the 3's, you don't have to multiply 3 by anything to get it to be 3. What do I have to multiply m by to make it equal m cubed? We'd have to multiply by m squared. So whatever the thing is that we would multiply by, we write that on the top. And specifically, we write it above its like term. So since I said the answer was m squared, I'm going to write m squared above that like term. Hopefully I do that sometime here in the next few seconds. There we go. And then what you do next is you always take the number you just got on the top, or in this case the term, and we multiply it by the entire front and write that answer underneath. So m squared times 3m is going to be 3m squared. I'll pause that. And then 1 times m squared is m squared. We subtract that entire underneath part. The 3m cubes cancel. 10m squared minus m squared is 9m squared. Bring down the next term, and you can see I've already gotten where I'm not talking fast enough because I've already worked it out. But now that I've got this from doing the subtraction, bring down the next term, we're now saying, how can I get this first term to turn into 9m squared? So how do I turn 3 into 9? Well, it's got to be multiplied by a positive 3. How do I get m to turn into m squared? I'd have to multiply by another m. So that's where I get positive 3m. And now, whatever we write down on the top, we multiply by the entire front. And there is a 1 right here. Sorry, my handwriting got a little messy. So 3m times 3m, and I'm going to write that underneath. So that would be 9m squared, and then 3m times 1 is 3m. We have to subtract that whole line. So the 9m squareds cancel. 9m minus 3m is 6m. Bring down the positive 2. And now I need to make 3m turn into 6m. So 3 times 2 is 6m. Now multiply that 2 by the entire front. Subtract what you get from the multiplication. Everything cancels, which means your answer here at the top, I'm rewriting over here, the answer is m squared plus 3m plus 2. Long division is a little tricky. Just doing one example of long division probably isn't enough to show you how to do it, but I thought that it would be good to at least have you see it once. Now this problem, which, if my memory serves, I don't think I zoomed in any further. So you might have to just trust me a little bit on this one. The instructions, yeah, there's a paragraph here. You don't even need to worry about reading the paragraph. Just go down to part A. Part A, if you can read it, which you might not be able to, I'll read it for you. Part A says, find the function p of x that describes the profit. I don't care about that sentence. All I care about is find the profit. Okay, so I took out a lot of the words in that sentence, it wants to find the profit in a business. If you boil down all of business to three things, a business wants to make profit. They want to make money. How do they figure out how much profit they have? Well, they have to bring in money, and you have to spend money in business. So the money you bring in is called revenue, R, revenue. The money you spend is called cost. And once you subtract the cost from the revenue, the money you bring in, what you're left with is profit. So hopefully your profit's a big number. If your profit's a negative number, that means your business is losing money. If your profit equals 0, that means you've spent the same amount as you've brought in. So you're breaking even. Now, in this example, they give you, again, it probably is hard to see. Right here, it says that the R equals, and then they give you a little trinomial. And down here, they give you the cost equals, and it's just a little binomial. So to be able to find the profit, the formula for profit is P equals R minus C, revenue minus cost. And I think I might have done this over here off the white screen just so it's a little easier to see. Or maybe not. Looks like I didn't. So R is 0.1 x squared plus x plus 5,000. And we need to subtract the cost because that was the revenue. So subtract the cost, which was 15x plus 3,000. But you might notice, oh, I got a little jumbled here. I think I put a line in. Yeah. I didn't say plus 3,000. I made it minus 3,000 because you're subtracting the cost. And even if it said plus 3,000 originally, I need to subtract that entire binomial. So now here at the bottom, this is just me combining some like terms, and that's the profit for this business. Now in part B over here, it says they want to find the exact profit, assuming that they sell 1,000 things. So that means I'm going to put 1,000 in place of X in both spots. So if I put 1,000 in here and 1,000 in here for X, now I just need to do some math to work out what is this company's profit. Now, putting 1,000 in for X and squaring it might seem like a lot. That might be like, ugh, I don't want to do 1,000 squared. That's okay. Here, 14 times 1,000, that's just 14,000. So that's not as bad. Don't forget that it is minus 14,000 though. Now, 1,000 squared is actually 1,000,000. And I'm going to be multiplying 0.1 times 1,000,000, but then I've also got minus 12,000 because I combined the parts here at the end. So 0.1 times 1,000,000 is 100,000. 100,000 minus 12,000 is 88,000. We're talking about profit, so we need to put money in there. That's it. That was the end of the video for today. Kept it under 20 minutes. Was hoping to be closer to 15, but that's okay. So I will see you tomorrow in class. Please come with questions and have a good day.